Okay, Game Seekers, welcome to another client cast. I'm really excited to do this one. It's like hot off the press, right? With Stephen, who's been with me now a long time, and we actually done his first ever contest prep, which it was a difficult prep, as you guys are going to find out, but it came out successful, and it's really sparked a complete new chapter in his life ahead. So I'm so excited to go into this journey because it gives you a different aspect of like what people push themselves to do. So Stephen, first of all, mate, really happy to have you on here. How's your day been so far, mate? You had a good day?
It's been good. It's been good. I went for a wee sauna earlier on and also you'd probably see my face probably a wee bit red because of the sauna.
Certainly not from the sun.
No, you certainly know Scotland anyway.
So yeah, I was going to say to you is that how are you finding your hunger under control at the moment?
No.
Still
I'm
struggling.
still a bit hungry, aye. Aye. Sometimes I'm all right, but it's like I'll have a meal, for example, and then maybe about an hour or two later, I'm just hungry. I'm drinking a lot of water. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I don't know, but obviously this is kind of new to me as well for it being a first kind of prep for a comp.
Yeah, I'm going to definitely go into that once we go through your prep because people
Aye.
don't realize how difficult it is coming out of a prep. So first thing I want to do is I want to pull up a video that we made for you, and I want you to watch it, and I just want to see your sort of response. So hopefully this comes up. Can you see that?
I've got it there, aye.
Yeah, so this is kind of where Stephen began his prep at me with. And what I want to show you guys is kind of like his journey. And I want to see how this feels for you, Stephen, to watch this back.
It's wild, man.
When we look at
It's
that, I
wild.
mean, what does that do for you, mate? Like that, your whole prep in a flash. Like, how are you feeling coming out of the prep? Just like that journey itself. We'll go dig deep into it, but
Aye.
what you've achieved, has it actually settled in yet?
It took, to be honest with you, I still can't believe it. Like, I still can't believe it because of the prep that we had. And as I said to you, even 2 days before it, I wasn't going to go. Like, I wasn't
Yeah.
going to go. And I mean, and you told me just go and just enjoy yourself, get the experience. And to come away with obviously second place and the British invites is just, I felt like I won. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it felt like I won. And
absolutely.
even after it, when I went and I sat down with my mum and stuff, and she actually started crying, and I was nearly crying. You know what I mean? Because coming from somebody who has always been, as I said to you previously, mum always overfed us, right? It was always a big boy, it's always a big lad. And then to be judged on stage in a pair of pants, right? If you
Yeah.
did this to me 5 years ago, I would have said, don't be daft. Even though I was into the gym and I was into stuff like that, and I'd always thought to myself I would like to do it, and then doing it and just after it, like I've never had a feeling like it. Like honestly, I've never had a feeling like it for my life.
Yeah, it makes me so proud when I watch that video, just knowing what went into the prep and the result that you got. And when you did ring me up and tell me that, you'd won and, that you got this British invite and everything, man, it was like I'd won myself. Do you know what I mean? Like I felt so happy for you because the way that I do preps, I'm very involved. It's like an everyday check-in. It's what people don't realize. And for me, it was like I was rooting for you more than I've been on stage myself. And honestly, the feeling of elation and happiness was more than I experienced on my own shows, right? So I was over the moon. And I want to start at the beginning so people know this is kind of like a last minute decision. So I've been working with Stephen. I worked with him for a photo shoot prep, got him into great shape for that. Then we kind of had a bit of time building up, right? This kind of just was come out the spur of the moment. I think it was like just a bit before Christmas,
Aye.
a couple of weeks before Christmas. You told me that, look, do you think I can get ready for a competition next year? And I said to you, yeah, look, man, you can do. There's no doubt about it. I explained to you it's going to be a step up in terms of work ethic and commitment and consistency. But like, it wasn't something we both planned. It just happened organically. Can I ask you this? Like, what was the big decision at that time to compete? Was it sort of a challenge for yourself? Was it for like to do something inspirational for your business? Because for people who don't know, Steven's got his own coaching business. He helps many people get into great shape. So I just want to know, like, what was the trigger? What made you think, fuck it? Do you know what? I want to do right before Christmas is coming along as well. Most people leave that to the new year, right? But what made you think like out of the blue, like, I just want to go for this competition?
Well, initially, I knew that obviously becoming a coach and want to obviously coach people, right? For obviously bodybuilding is kind of the way I'm going. So I thought to myself, it'd be quite no, the word that's stupid to me, to bring people on who maybe at the time I had some clients who wanted to do like a photo shoot and one who wants to do a competition, and I'm like, how can I necessarily like prep them for a competition when I have never done it, right? So that was one of the reasons as well. But obviously, I've always kind of wanted to do it, and obviously, last year we're obviously trying for a kid in that, and me and Holly decided, you know what, she wants to be a PT now, and so the family kind of get pushed to the side because we want to concentrate on career. Right? So I went, well, there's no better time than now. Do you know what I mean? And that's why, even though it was before Christmas, maybe I should have waited a wee bit further in the year, but I knew PCA was going to be in Scotland, and it was obviously the first timers category that I was going in. So I thought, it's on my back door. It's April. Could we get myself in shape for a comp? And that was kind of the two main reasons.
Yeah, I mean, when you messaged me, I got to be honest with you, I was excited and I was surprised as well. Not because I put anything beyond you, but again, the timing of the year. And I know you, like, I know you can eat, right? And I know that you got social occasions like Christmas and everything coming up. And I remember saying to you that, look, man, I feel bad because normally when I'm dieting a person to drop body fat, then they will have balance, right? They will have cheat meals. But when you're getting ready for a contest, for people watching this who've never done it before, I'm a completely different coach when it comes to contests. So when it comes to contests, it's all about every single day counts. And I told Stephen many times throughout the journey, because what it is, like Stephen said, you're going on stage to get judged against other people, and they're working just as hard, and they're looking to beat you. It's not like a friendly atmosphere sort of thing. They're looking to beat you. They're looking to make you look shit, right? So you got to make every single day count. You can't be coming off your diet. You can't be having cheat meals. You've got to be doing cardio. You've got to be doing your training, and you've got to be doing it with everything you've got. And I like the fact that what spurred you on was that you want to be a genuine coach. So you're like, look, I'm getting people coming to me. My coaching business is building. Contest prep clients are looking to come on board. I want to go through that experience physically and mentally myself so that when I'm coaching people, I know exactly what they're going through and what it takes. And I mean, from the get-go, for people who don't know, like, it was literally a complete focused diet. So because we were, in my opinion, we were behind to begin with in terms of condition, right? And I know your body, so I know how your body responds. And you're a guy who does struggle to lose body fat. Gaining muscle, no issue. Dropping body fat is also kind of like it's kind of like your Achilles heel, right? So we started off the prep really aggressive, right away getting into it. Going low carb, pretty much like double cardio sessions a day. You're checking in with me every day, sending me your pictures along. Can I ask you, when you first started the prep and you're going past Christmas, like you're seeing everyone eat their meals, like you're seeing everyone have this balance. It's cold winter nights. It's not like it's sunny days where you're motivated. How did the prep begin for you? Was it harder than you expected? Or were you at that stage just super motivated that, look, I'm really excited to see where this brings me? Because obviously you've done a photo shoot prep before, so you had an idea of what it was to diet hard. But obviously we're going to a completely different realm and condition now. So the beginning of the prep, being so regimented, not having a cheat meal on the weekend, like, how was that experience for you?
To be fair, probably it was actually easier than what I thought it was going to be, if that makes sense. I think because the photo shoot was in such a short space of time, and it was really aggressive, and it was my first time doing anything like that. I found that a lot harder. Now, don't get me wrong, over Christmas and that, and I was sitting with family and stuff, and like, you've got my mum going, oh, just have this bit of chocolate, and I don't want a bit. I was like, Mum, can I have a bit of chocolate? Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't understand. Oh, one bit's not going to do anything. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, no, you don't understand. Do you know what I mean? And it was just things like that were, you're kind of getting a wee bit nippy, but you don't mean to. It's just like, going to stop asking me, sort of thing. So that was more kind of hard. But the other aspect to it as well, like, I used to always, every weekend I used to get together with my mum and that, and my sister and we used to go for coffee and stuff like that. And that stopped. Do you know what I mean? Like, so the only time during that whole prep that I actually went and seen my mum was Mother's Day, of course, because I would always do that for it being Mother's Day. And to see my mum and my sister come to the show, they now understood why I had to be the way I was. Do you know what I mean? And it took them to come to see that, to go right now I understand, now I get it. Do you know what I mean? And the hardest thing was kind of staying away from them, but they left me to do my thing. Do you know what I mean? Because they knew just leave him, let him do his thing, sort of. So that was probably kind of the hardest thing hanging through it. But obviously for the tail end to the comp with everything that was going on, which we'll obviously dig deeper into, but that was hard. That was, I'd probably say the last 5 to 6 weeks was more mentally hard.
Yeah. The thing is that you're absolutely right. People, if you don't understand competition, it seems, can I be honest with you, to people outside of it, family members, friends, or whatever, people you know, it actually seems really extremist because it's kind of like they're thinking like, come on, man, if you have a chocolate, you have a biscuit, is it really going to do any damage? But it's because what it is, if we flip it around the other side from a competitive mindset, you do not want to be making any mistakes that are going to put you behind your competition, right? So, like I said at the beginning, every single day counts. And you have to put yourself in a tunnel zone. And this is the thing, like, that's why I say to people, can I tell you this, Stephen, right? I've had a lot of people who have started a competition prep with me and they've never gone through with it because they get dumbfounded. They're like, oh, can I spend time with my boyfriend or girlfriend on the weekend and go out for dinner? I'm like, no, I can't. Like, you could go out and have your meal, but you can't be eating like you can't just be having a cheat meal every weekend. You've got to be. You can't be missing cardio. You can't be missing training. And I don't want people to misconstrue that. To get into great shape, you don't have to live a lifestyle like that. But if you're going to fucking compete on stage, then guess what you do? Because everyone you're going against is doing the same, and you have to get yourself into that tunnel zone mentality so that you can get the best out of yourself every single day. Because it isn't easy. It isn't easy getting up like clockwork. I mean, fuck me. Every single morning, Stephen's checking in with me in his underpants at like 4:30 in the morning. Think about it, right? And then you get your diet, you get your cardio. And I know I done your prep. So every day was like a hard day. It was like very little carbohydrates, mainly protein and fats, double cardio sessions, training hard, and not looking forward to a cheat meal at the end of the week, right? Know that you have to just go for it. And for you to be successful at that sort of prep, you're almost in what I look at. It's almost like being a fighter when they're in a camp getting ready for a fight. You can't have any distraction, right? You can't have any sort of slipping because again, then you start to play mental games with yourself. Could you have done this better? Could you have done that better? That's why I prepare people that look, the difference between getting ready, say getting into great shape and getting ready for a contest, they are miles apart. If anything, I honestly think contest prep is so good to experience just once in your life, even if you don't compete, do it on mock prep, because it will really teach you how disciplined you can be and how hard you can work. Because you literally, everything you're doing is abnormal to what everyone else is doing, right? You're running a routine that's like clockwork. You're literally training like a professional athlete. There's no difference between your prep and somebody prepping for the Olympia. You're doing the exact same sort of setup where your whole day is revolved around burning body fat, right? Building muscle and getting into best shape possible. So it is a lot. But then on the flip side of that, when family do see what it means to you and see the result and understand how bodybuilding show all works, I experienced the same thing as myself. My dad was always against it. Like, what the fuck are you doing? This ain't normal. Just train and enjoy your food. But when he saw the competition and he saw like who I'd gone against and how hard they've done, then he realized, oh shit, this is a step up of just a guy working out in the gym. So yeah, I mean, for people to get an insight into this, the prep started off really, really well. We're losing body fat. Stephen's body's responding, right? And then middle of the prep, I kind of realized, and I thought to myself, do you know what? Stephen's body's not responding the way that I've expected. And we started to actually fall behind in condition, right? Because I'm pushing him hard, right? He's doing his cardio. He's not cheating on his diet. He's getting his training in. And we hit a slump in the middle of the prep where it looked like he wasn't making any changes. And for those that don't know, right, Stephen is a supplement assisted bodybuilder. So he is in a non tested organization, right, for where he competes. The supplements are a big part of the game. They're not the whole game, right? People give them too much credit. But what I want to say is this is that when you're using supplements on a prep, right, and what we're going to go into, which is they turn out to be fake and bunk. What actually happens is your hormonal system's at a fucking real disadvantage, right? So it's not like competing as a natural, because competing as a natural, right, your body's in a good hormonal situation. When you're competing as an assisted bodybuilder and the assistance that you're using, right, isn't fucking what you think it is. It turns out that to be that it's nothing. So you were actually competing as a natural guy at hormonal disadvantage. That must have been a really sort of I felt it every day, you know. every day I checked you in, I felt so upset because I thought to myself that what must it be like for you going through on that, putting all that work in, right? Getting that cardio done, getting that training done, getting your food in, and you're just your body's not responding. You're not seeing the hard changes that we were seeing at the beginning. Like, what was that like to go through mentally, man?
I think it was like, obviously we were doing the cardio, and I remember when we were checking in every day and we were doing the cardio and and then my weight was going up. You remember?
Yeah.
And it kept going up. And then we were like, how is this happening? And I think that was around about the same time when we were kind of noticing about the supplements as well. So it wasn't until you had initially said to me, like, you should be feeling this, you should be feeling this, like, how are you feeling? And then it clicked, and I was like, I'm not fucking feeling any of that. I was like, this isn't right. There's something not right here. And as I remember saying to you, I had the same supplement of another brand, and I was like, why don't we try this and see? And I remember that by the end of that week, I was a new man. I didn't feel like I was on prep previously because of how, like, in the gym, everything was heavy. I didn't want to lift anything. And then all of a sudden, I'm getting this surge of, like, strength. And I'm like, well, clearly, the supplements for the past 5 weeks weren't working.
This is the thing.
There is what that threw me. That threw me mentally, because that's when I was like, well, what the fuck am I doing then? What's the point in this? For the fact we've just lost 5 weeks. Do you know what I mean? You're like, just keep going. Let's just keep going and just keep going. And as you know, there's been a few times that I was ready to pull it, because that's what kind of, nah, I'm not going to be ready. I'm not going to be ready. I fucked it. 5 weeks, that's me. Do you know what I mean? Like, but at the same time, I dug deep and I just tried, and I hoped.
Yeah. The thing is that it was horrible. Like, to go through, like, my whole role as a coach is two things. One, I've got to support a person as best as I can do, and I've got to keep them motivated. I've got to keep them focused, because they are going to go through slumps, especially on a contest prep. People do not realize. They'll see the picture and they'll say, "Oh, Stephen, you look amazing," but you don't see that. You don't see that in the mirror. You just see faults. You see discrepancy, and then when you go through what you've gone through, where you're going against assisted guys, right? You realize that actually my whole prep almost, I've been doing it naturally and at a hormonal disadvantage. And I'm behind now, because what happened is that your body, obviously cortisol is going to be through the roof, right? Your testosterone's in the gutter, right? Your estrogen's not going to be right. So you're in a situation where your body isn't actually responding like a normal body. It's actually working against you. And it was gutting, because I was so upset, because I kept thinking to myself, this guy has seemed to hit a plateau and he's not changing. And I've worked with so many people now. I know when there's something up like that, either hormonally or from supplement usage. So I said to you, and then when you do get the right ones in, even me, I thought to myself, I thought, you know what, right? I feel awful for this guy, because he's behind. It's not through no fault of his own. You know, if you would turn around to me and you've been cheating on your diet, right? Or you've been not doing the cardio, or not training hard, or taking days off, or gallivanting about, partying, or whatever, then I'd be like, well, do you know what? You only got yourself to blame. But you've done everything to the book, to the T, day in, day out. And then you're coming towards where you've only got like a month and a half to go. And now you know you're behind. And you know that you're not competing in a little sort of, how can I say this? You're not like a small show, right? PSA is a big federation. You're going to get the best of the best turning up. And you've never competed before. And you're behind in condition. And you're on supplements that don't work, right? So your mind must have been absolutely fucked at that point. And I don't blame you for wanting to quit. But I mean, as we started to push on, did you be honest with me about this? Did you? Because I want people to realize that even to the last week, you weren't confident in not what we had done, but you weren't confident in your prep, because you knew that everything that was going wrong in this prep that could have gone wrong was going wrong. We were behind. The supplements you're using are fake, right? Now your body's taking time to respond. Your condition's not in place. You're going into a big contest. I mean, that must have been every day. Must have been a hard push, just doubting yourself, thinking, should I do this? Shouldn't I do this? And where were you at those last couple of weeks coming up to show? You weren't very confident in what we're doing, which I'll go into in a second. But how was it for you those last couple of weeks? Even though the supplements started to work, because you knew you were behind.
Just because I knew that the supplements that I was taking, it was the same brand, so it was everything was all the same brand, and that's what made it worse, because I'm like, that's been what, 5 weeks or something I've been taking all this, and just kept thinking to myself, I fucked it, because I'm thinking
Yeah.
we're now sitting 4 weeks out, and I'm like, I'm still holding a bit of fat, and I'm like, I should be fucking shredded by now for everything that we've been doing. Do you know what I mean? So I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to go on stage and look like a totty. That's what I was saying. I'm going on stage, like, there's people coming there who know me. There's people, obviously it's Scotland, it's just my back door, it's 20 minutes away, the place. There was people coming from my gym to watch me. And that's what I was more concerned about, going on stage and just looking like I shouldn't be on stage. Do you know what I mean? That's what I was thinking mentally. Aye. And I was like, no, maybe if it was a show down England, it wouldn't have been so bad because nobody knows me. But at the same time, when I felt, I kind of turn around and say, I probably still feel the same, because I've always, like, I just felt like I wasn't ready. That's what I felt. I felt like I needed another 6 weeks or something to go into a condition where, you know, that I felt like I'm ready. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, I can't thank you enough for just saying, keep going. Do you know what I mean? Because if it wasn't for you and obviously your motivation and just keeping my head focused on, like, moving forward, like, there's nothing we can do, it's in the past, let's move. Do you know what I mean? Like, that was out with our control, but we've got the next 4 weeks in our control, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? So let's just focus on that. And don't get me wrong, it was hard. Every day was hard. I mean, you know, obviously my other job that I've got in construction, like, I'm hitting 20,000 steps a day, no bother. And that was blowing up. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'd be fine up to a certain point, 11, 12 o'clock, and I was gassed, but I had to go and train. Do you know what I mean? Like, my carbs were low. Like, it was really, obviously I was taking half days and stuff like that as well in the last week to try and just preserve energy and stuff, because mentally I didn't think I was ready, and physically my body was feeling like it was ready. Do you know what I mean? So it was really tough for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and that's where I think teamwork comes in massively. Because, like I say, the way I work when I contest prep coach is I don't. So it's not like a typical client, where a typical client will check in with me once a week, or if they upgrade their service, then they can get maybe 2 or 3 times a week. It's very rare that I work with people every single day. And for me, the reason why I do that is because I actually know the mind games that come along, and I know how important it is to touch point with somebody in the morning every single day. And, you know, I can talk from experience here. I've been on stage when I shouldn't have been on stage, and it was fucking horrific. Bro, honestly, I was waiting and thinking, maybe I won this damn thing because they didn't call me out. And I realized they didn't call me out because I wasn't worth calling out. It was horrible, because you put the work in, but, you know, you put months of work in, and then you're still not ready, right? And so for me, I never wanted to push you on stage, because I was aware that you have a big crowd coming. I was aware a lot of people come from your gym and come in. I was aware it's in your back garden. And, like, I looked at your physique and I thought, you know what, right? We've got still time to repair this damage, right? We've still got time to get into great condition. We're in a situation where, yes, you are behind, but I know the work ethic that you've got, and I know how disciplined you can be, right? It's not like this was, you know, I've had exposure to that before with your photo shoot prep. So I knew that you could dig deep and you could put it in. And also, what it is that I never like to give up on a challenge, man. Do you know what I mean? I always think that if you're willing to put that work in, you can pretty much do anything you put your mind to. And what people don't realize, and what's actually really crazy, and you can attest to this, it really was a Cinderella story, because your physique didn't come together till the last week. Literally, that peak week fixed everything.
Aye. That it was the more, it was like, I think it was the day before. You're just like, fuck's sake, like, my physique just changed. And then it wasn't until the day that I woke up on competition, and you just says, that's by far the best you've ever looked. And that filled me with a lot of confidence for that day as well. Because I'm like, fuck. Even Holly was an absolute star. I know she's probably listening in the back there, but she was an absolute star. Do you know what I mean? She helped me through it as well, to be honest with you. And she knows the feeling now, because she's doing I'm prepping her for her first photo shoot for the end of the month.
Oh wow!
Next month, so she's starting to feel what I was feeling. But
absolutely,
so it was so that day we woke up for the competition, and you had said that to me. I was like, right, that's us. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're here. That's us. Do you know what I mean? And to be fair, on the day, like Polly said to me on the day when we were driving in, I don't know if it was if it was the vodka or no, right? But she's like, "Are you all right?" And I'm in the car. And I'm going, "I'm fine." She's like, "You're dead quiet," and I'm going,
Yeah.
"I'm here now." Do you know what I mean? Like, that's it. I'm tanned up to the max. I've experienced something that I never thought I'd experienced in my life, where there's a guy standing with socks on their willies and stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, if I can do that, I can do this. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, right. And and it was just for that day. And then it wasn't until I was backstage, and I don't know if I told you this one, but I was backstage, and you've got a few categories there, right?
Yeah.
I see a couple of big boys standing, and I'm going, man, they're big boys. And I'm like, oh, so we get talking, right? And I took dumbbells with me. I was on the one with dumbbells. I was like, oh, can I get a shot of your dumbbells? I was like, no bother, mate, on you go have a shot of them. Another boy's like, oh, fuck, I forgot my water. So I had wee 330ml bottles of water. I was like, here, do you want water? And he's like, are you sure? I was like, on you go, of course. Little did I know that was the two guys I was competing against.
No, shit. You're helping the competition. You can help the competition beat.
You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, that's just who I am as a person as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't knock back a guy for some water or somebody want to use the dumbbells, especially if they're there. Do you know what I mean? But so I'm looking at them and I'm thinking, fuck's sake, man, these are big guys. But I don't know what they're seeing when they look at me. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, right, okay, that is what it is. Here we go. And I know there was only 3 years. And the first thing that came to my mind is, I hope I don't come last, right? Because you're guaranteed it, right? So I was like, right, I hope I don't come last. And then they swapped me and another boy, so I knew then they're comparing us, right? So swapped us, and then they called him, and I stood there with next to the other boy. The other boy was 6 foot, I think. As soon as he walked out, people were just drawn to him because he was just naturally taller, right? But the boy was in good condition as well. Do you know what I mean? He was, so you can't take it away from him. But I was standing on stage and they called the other boy third, and I was like, oh my God, I've got a chance of winning this. That's what crossed. And even when they shouted me to come second, I was like, ah. Do you know what I mean?
Man,
like,
it's just
I felt like I won it because I knew the prep
that
we had. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, fuck, that is a huge win for me, man. Like, honestly, I've never felt anything like it in my life.
It was just incredible because, like, that's why I call your prep. I've never had a prep like yours ever, right? So I call yours the Cinderella story because it really, really was. And what people need to realize is that peak week is basically what a peak week is. If you don't understand what it is and you're watching this, that is the final sort of polish on a person's physique. So what we're going to do in the peak week is basically drop the water. And I knew deep down, I knew that you're going to drop a lot of water because you're just one of those people who naturally retains a lot of water, right? You can always tell with certain people. So I knew, okay, don't panic or anything. We've got a lot of water that we can drop off Stephen, right? And at the same time, if I get his muscles pumped out enough, because I know Stephen's body inside out and how to fill him out. So if the water's dropping between the skin and the muscle and the muscle's pumping out more, all that definition is going to pop a little bit more. But like I say, is that day by day, your physique improves, right? And, you know, going through this peak week, which I thought was one of the best peak weeks I've ever run with a client, did you actually, when you were looking at yourself going through it, did you notice, like, were you like, fucking hell, like each day, was your confidence building, or at that point, were you just shot with nerves and just literally on autopilot following what I said?
I was, to be honest with you, it was a bit of both. Obviously, when I was at the gym, I'm like, fuck, I'm seeing veins here I've never seen before, right? And obviously, naturally in the morning, you're a bit flat. It was hard for me to see the pictures in the morning, right? To be truthful with you, because I'm obviously flat and I'm seeing pictures of myself every morning. But I was just more on autopilot. I was just like, I'm just going to do what it says and just get this done, because it was getting to that stage now where I knew it was coming, and I was obviously thinking that I wasn't going to be ready. So I had naturally in my head that I potentially not going to do it. Do you know what I mean? So I thought, we'll just get the head down, just autopilot and just go. And it wasn't until the Friday when I was getting my tan done. Obviously, the tan made it a wee bit better. You know what I mean? That I seen myself. I went, right. I'm actually looking quite good. Do you know what I mean? Compared to what I was 2 weeks ago or whatever. So I knew there had been progress made, and I knew that we still had to dry out more. So I was like, right, so the potential here. And then when I woke up that morning, and I sent you over the photos of me in the kitchen, and I seen the one previously that you had on the reel there, the wee video. I was like, fuck me. How far I'd actually come. Do you know what I mean? I was like, that's incredible. Do you know what I mean? That it was. I seen that to myself as well. I was like, I have put in some work, and that's it shown, even though, do you know what I mean? Even though what we had been through, I came a long way. Do you know what I mean?
Massive way.
Aye.
Absolutely. Massive way. And that's the thing for me. So, like, again, to give people an insight, there's no preset for a peak week. So it's not like what Stephen's done is what works for David and what's worked for Ray and what's worked for Joe. It's really individual. And it's literally day by day, meal by meal. And when it came to the night, and I'm thinking to myself, this guy has to dry out overnight. He's got to wake up drier than what he is now to do good in this contest, because I could still see he had water. And you're making those shots on what the person's got to eat. And then for me to see your pictures in the morning, it was literally like, I went, in terms of happiness, I went up maybe 100%, because I was like, do you know what? We fucking nailed it. On the day you needed to look your best, the day that counted, all the other days in the prep don't count. The only day that you need to look your best is the day of the show. And you actually look the fucking best that you've ever looked with me, full stop. The best you've ever looked in your life. The best shape you've ever been in. And it is a crazy experience, you know. It makes me laugh, because you're talking about, I remember when I got my tanning done, I thought the same thing. Like, she pulls out a sock, and I was like, "Fuck's that for, Mark?" I'm thinking, "Shit, you want me to feel that?" Man, you got the wrong guy here, bro. Well, it's really intense, isn't it? You just stand there with a sock on, getting your tan off.
See, the thing that made it worse at all, right? Like, see, the second day I got tanned, I knew one of the lassies doing the spray tan. She trains down the gym. I was like, oh, so that was the second time that I had met her. And I was like, well, who would have thought this is the second time I'd meet you? You'd be fucking see me with a soak on. Do you know what I mean? I was like, fuck's sake. But aye, that was an experience. That was definitely an experience.
It is. And you have to get that tan for people to watch, because a lot of people think, oh, it looks so dark. But what it is, the stage lights are so bright that if you go on without a tan, right, a lot of your definition is gonna get lost. You have to bring your color really in, so that when you do step on stage, all your definition that you've got actually shows on stage in those bright lights. And I love that you mentioned about going backstage and all that, because people just don't know this stuff. And I've been there myself. And when you go backstage, everyone looks better than you. Everyone is bigger and better. I'm thinking, fuck am I doing here? In the gym, I'm the king, but here. Really, how your mind just starts to play games with you.
Aye, it was, because obviously I was backstage as well, and you could hear the crowd. And I'm like, oh no, man. I'm like, oh no. And they shouted at the three of us to go, and the three of us just started walking. Obviously, we were in order for numbers, and you could just hear everybody. And, you know, Stephen Cassidy's the boy that obviously does the speaking and that for it. And he said, but like, we were standing there, and he goes, the three use first timers. And we're like, aye. And then he's like, you better be first timers, because if you only, you will get banned for PCA. And I'm like, well, you're making me feel even better now. Do you know what I mean? I was like, fuck's sake. I says, like, look, he says, you're three big boys. So for him to say that, who does this week in, week out for almost all year, to say that for the three years, I went, fuck, man, this is going to be a good. And it wasn't that. It was like, I'd went the previous year to have a look at first timers. And I actually said to Holly at the time when I seen the first timers, I went, on that year, I was like, I can't do first timers. So I was thinking, get into this year, it would be sort of similar. But that's the thing, like, that just proved to me there that you don't know who you're going up against. You don't. You know what I mean? And for him to say that there was, you know, the three of us had one of the you know, the big physiques competing against each other in a first timers category is fucking, it was frightening. Do you know what I mean? So it was a good thing in a sense like that as well. Because even Holly said that when the three of us walked out, she went, fucking hell. You know what I mean? And that's obviously Holly noticing it. And I think the whole crowd were kind of taken back for the sake of it being three first timers, and the three as well were really, really fucking between us had a good muscle in that. Do you know what I mean? So it was quite a good feeling, but at the same time it was like
you know, it must have really filled you with like confidence to write, because you're standing there. So for people who don't know, you're standing behind the curtains, right? You're about to walk on. You've got no real concept of how you're looking and how you're going to look compared to these guys, because you're not going to fucking stand backstage in the mirrors. You're just looking around thinking, shit, that guy's got this good body part, that guy's condition's good, right? And then you've got to go on stage, and you can't actually see the crowd really because the lights are so bright.
It's blind.
Yeah, you're literally blind. You can't see. Just hearing people shout your name. And when you got out there after there, that first walk onto stage, you're never going to get that again. You're never going to get that first walk out onto stage. How did you feel? Did you feel like, yes, I belong? Or did you feel like, shit, like I'm nervous, I don't know what's going to happen here?
To be fair, right, I don't think I told you this, but when I was standing there in line just about to go out, I actually said to myself, I'm winning this. That's what I said to myself. And I don't know, like, as soon as I said that to myself, I walked out as if I'd been on stage before. Do you know what I mean? If that makes sense. Yeah. I was like, the fear had just gone. It was like this whole just lifted from my shoulders. It was like all of a sudden, like I'm here. Do you know what I mean? And I knew that because I'd been doing my posing for so long, that I was confident in my posing, in my mandatories basically. So when I was doing my mandatories, it was just like every time they were shouting, I just knew exactly what I was doing. No, I just knew what I was doing. So I think that helped as well. Do you know what I mean? Because even when I look back at the pictures with the posing with the frees, even Holly and that said that my posing was just, you could just tell that I knew what I was doing. And obviously that was one of the judges' feedbacks as well. Like my posing was great, just little improvement needed. So I knew all that time, obviously learning the posing and stuff as well, that it was worth it. Do you know what I mean? So it was definitely, as you said, I'm never going to have that feeling again. But
yeah,
it was, I can't even explain. It was over like that. It was done 2 seconds. That's what it felt like.
Crazy. It is. It goes so quickly. And I mean, when they were, you know, when you were on stage and you hit, I'll go to posing in a second, but when you're hitting your poses and all that, and then they start to move you around, at that point, did your fucking confidence just build? Like you're like, now you're into it.
That's what it was like. It was like, it was when they moved us initially, I just knew. I was like, right, they're moving us, so I need to make sure what I'm doing it bang on. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm now getting judged here. Do you know what I mean? Like, initially going out, pulling my pose, it was fine, but then when he went slot number 4 and number 2, I think it was, or number 4 and number 3, and I went to myself, I just knew, I said it to myself. It was as if there was nobody else there, but I said it to myself, like, I'm now getting judged against him. Like, I need to make sure I'm on point here. Do you know what I mean? And I can just remember you're in the back of my head, clench your bum cheeks.
Yeah, I told you keep that ass tight, like in the prison.
And that was it. I just kept hearing that, so it was always work for your legs and keep your ass clenched, and that's what I just done. Do you know what I mean? And I think in the pictures you've seen it as well. Do you know what I mean? And I think that obviously, as you said, that if we never really had that wee bad few weeks, I think I would have been extremely fucking conditioned. Do you know what I mean? I think I would have been, but at the same time, I got a good result and I'm happy with the result. Do you know what I mean? That's the fucking main thing.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And I mean, like, so after they took you through and you've done your mandatories, you've got a good feeling that, okay, now I'm in top contention. What was the feeling like walking? Like, how did it happen? Did you walk backstage and then it was a small interlude and then you come out to get your trophies? Or was there a gap? Like, what was the sort of thing after that? Did you go talk to Holly, your mum, what?
No, so basically, we'd done the mandatories and then we had to go backstage. And then it was your 60 seconds routine.
Yeah.
So I was last to do my routine and I'd went out. Now, this is probably a bit of fault in my own, right? Because I was more concentrating on my mandatories because I knew that's what I was judged on. So I never really I did have a routine, right? But I didn't really, because of how I was feeling and everything I was doing, I just felt like I had no time to do the fucking routine, right? Now, I kind of had in my head, I knew in my head, it was an easy routine, I'll do that. So when I went out on stage to do my routine, I knew straight away, pull my front double bicep, and then forgot the routine. Forgot the whole routine. Right? And I knew as soon as I pulled the front double bicep, my head just went blank. So all I done was start pulling mandatory poses. Right? So I just started pulling shapes, and I was like, shit. So I started doing that, and then it was a case of like back off. They told me to stay on stage, and they were going to bring the other two, and that was us going to get obviously rewards and that, or medals and stuff. So that was me. I was back and I was going, I just kept thinking, fuck that routine. So after we had got the obviously the placings and stuff, the first thing I went back and when I went down and see my mum and that, and she was crying and stuff, and I was like, how did that look on my routine? I was like, because initially I had 2 songs I was picking, right?
Yeah.
One had a beat in it, and I thought to myself, if I miss a beat, that's going to throw me off. So I picked another one that was just lyrics, just a woman singing, and I thought, right. Now I remember I done a video to the routine and put the song over the top of it to see what it would look like. Now I wasn't doing it to the song, but when I showed people it, they were, that looks like you were doing that to the song, and I went, right, that's the song. I said, that's the one. So the first thing I said to my mum was when I came off is, I was like, how did I look in my routine? She went, you were excellent, son, you were excellent. And I was like, did it look like I was doing it to it? But she went, I was like, I wasn't.
Oh
so,
man.
But that I mean, it just showed that even though I was confident on what I was doing, it paid off in the end. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah, posing is huge. Learning posing is huge. I can't begin to tell. It blows my mind that somebody will put all their work into prep, get into condition, right? Spend all the time in the gym building the muscle, and then when it comes to being on stage, they're shaking. They're not hitting poses to show their body off properly. That's the part of where you get to show what you really are. So for people who don't know, you work with a posing coach throughout literally your whole prep, who played a massive part in your presentation when you went out. Because like you say, you might have been a first timer, but you didn't look, except for your posing routine, you didn't look like a first timer when it came to actually hitting your poses. Do you know what I mean? And that makes a huge difference. You know, when you're out there by yourself, because I've been there, right? But a lot of people haven't. How does it feel? It's surreal, isn't it? It's surreal. It's got this music playing and everyone's just looking at you in your underwear. Fucking mad, isn't it?
I've never experienced anything like it, but in a good way. And it's like, it's trying to explain it to people who have never been on stage. Now I'm actually going like that. If it's something that you actually are thinking about, I would do it.
Yeah.
100%. Because I've never, the adrenaline after it, even for a couple of days, it was like, it was crazy. It was the most craziest thing that I've ever done. But I think I've also grown as a person as well. Because I've put myself into a situation where, you know, being younger and being called fat and being judged, to go to Tenerife with family at 15 and not take my t-shirt off because I thought I was fat, to then stand on a stage, okay, I'm 32 this year, to then stand on a stage in front of people who know me, a lot of other people,
yeah,
judged, do you know what I mean? Like, it was this whole weight just lifted off my shoulders as if nothing else mattered after that. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was a surreal moment in my life, and I'll never forget it. And I'll always have a trophy there to remind me.
This is it. And I'll tell you something now that I'm being really serious. So listening to you talk about your contest and the experience, it reminds me of exactly how I felt. That's how much of a moment it is that you never forget. And mate, how good does it feel, right? When you've come off stage and you've had the doubts that you've had, right? Because everyone goes through them. I've worked with competitors up to Olympia level now in the female division, and they still get doubts, right? So you've had those doubts. You had a horrific prep in terms of in the middle of the prep, which is the most important part, is where you get ahead. You went behind. You went the opposite of what we're meant to do. We're meant to get ready early. You were fucking behind, right? And then you walk out, right? You haven't spoke to Holly. You ain't spoke to your mum. You've done your posing routine. You've gone against these lads. You come out, bro. How good is that feeling when you just got that trophy, right? All that dedication, and people don't realize that's the first time you're actually eating something nice, mate. There's nothing close to it, is there? It's just the most fucking amazing moment.
I can't. There's nothing else that I've been through in my life that I can say that I've experienced something as happy. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was so happy that even when I say to you, like, even if it was just an invite, do you know what I mean? I would be happy with that because I knew how bad the prep was, and to get the 2 invites and to play second, I just couldn't believe it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was a pure, real surreal moment in my life that I'll never ever forget. And as I said, I can't wait to the finals because I know I'll still be nervous, and I know it's going to be a bigger crowd. There's going to be a lot more competition there. But you know that way, like now that I've done it, I can't wait to do it again.
Man, it's just the best thing ever. You know, you're coming out of this vacuum. It literally is a vacuum where you've been doing cardio twice a day. You've been checking in like a robot at 4:30 every single morning, right? You've been fucking training when hard throughout, right? You've been pushing yourself. You've not been coming off diet, right? You've gone through doubt. You've gone through like the things have not gone right for you, right? You're in a situation where you're fucking completely physically and mentally worn out. And then all of a sudden, you get on stage, what feels like for minutes, you accomplish a goal beyond what you thought. Because not only did you place top two, you also got a British invite, which they don't hand out. People watching this don't realize they only hand out British final invites if they think that you are somebody that can be very competitive in that class. Otherwise, it's just a waste of their time and a waste of your time. Right? You come out with that, so you get the best result that we could have hoped for. Like I actually like filled with happiness when I got your message, and I just shouted out, and I was so happy because exactly like you, I just thought to myself, this outcome could not have been better for the prep that we've got. And then I just thought to myself, now we can have redemption. Now with the finals at the end of the year, we can do things the way that they're meant to be done, right? And give you the opportunity to go in ahead, right, rather than being behind. And man, I just think to myself, when you do something like that and you dedicate and discipline yourself for months, it's like 4 or 5 months of fucking discipline. Like I want people watching this to realize, imagine yourself 4 to 5 months of cardio every single day, literally every single day, non-stop, right? Still working your job. Remember, it's not like it's a professional athlete where you're a pro bodybuilder and you've got nothing else to do but do cardio and training. You're doing your job, you're running a coaching business, right? You're in a relationship, right? You're doing all these things and you're sacrificing so much. But they always say, sacrifice is worth it when you're willing to push yourself to that different level. You've grown as a person. I think we'll both agree that probably one of the hardest things you've ever done and ever been on.
Aye, 100%, 100%. And the thing is, well, after the competition, I actually apologised to my mum and my sister. I actually apologised to them because I went,
Yeah,
sorry that I've been such a shite son and a brother, but now you know why. And they just went, no, I totally understand. Like, I totally understand. And it was good for them because my wee sister, to let you be honest, my wee sister, she didn't really want to come because she just thought it was guys standing, flexing, and kind of vain,
yeah.
like, right? And she went, I was fucking buzzing after that. That's what she said. She went, I actually
Oh
made
man,
me
I
want
love
to go to
that.
the gym. She went, it made me want to go to the gym. Do you know what I mean?
Really?
Aye, and that's what she said to me. And I was like, I told you it's a totally different atmosphere. Because when I
Yeah,
went and watched the previous year as well, it's just seeing, because I'd done the photo shoot prep, I could appreciate the people on stage a lot more because I
yeah,
knew, right, what they're doing and what they've done was a lot harder than what I'd done. But I'd done
yeah,
that photo shoot to see if I had what it took to do the competition. Do you know what I mean? And it's a lot. And I think that's when, like, my mum and my sister kind of realised, right, this is amazing, these people on the stage and what they've done.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? And now they've seen me go through it. They now understand that bodybuilding, it's not just about looking good and flashing yourself in the mirror and that, like, especially going for like a competition, it's a fucking hard work. Do you know
it
what I mean?
is.
And they can appreciate it a bit more. Do you know what I mean?
No, you're 100% right. There's a massive difference between a guy who's just working out in the gym to look good versus a guy who's get big competitive. Isn't bodybuilding's a sport, right? And there's so much hard work that's gone into that to create that look. No one on that stage is, it's not vanity. Do you know what I mean? It's not like posing trying to look sexy. You're actually trying to display what really is the only way to win a bodybuilding competition is a lot of hard work, because the only way to get into great condition is hard work. There's no shortcut. There's no way around it. So I think that's incredible that that inspired you. And I mean, coming out of the competition, it's weird, isn't it, man? When you've been so disciplined for so long, I bet you fucking felt, because I give people, I say to people, don't worry, don't check in with me for a couple of days because I've just been checking you in every morning. Right? I like to get my half full back, right? And you people tell me, they say, Aston, I feel fucking lost. That it's not a come down. It's more like now you're not under that sort of, in that sort of vacuum and in that sort of tunnel zone vision. You kind of miss it, don't you? Kind of like, well, what? You feel so weird having your day to yourself.
I didn't feel right. I didn't feel right. And that's what I said to you. I was like, we need to go back. We need to do something because I don't know what I'm doing. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm lost. I don't know what I'm doing. So I was totally. Don't get me wrong. Like after the show and that, I thought I was going to be like after the photo shoot, right? I done things completely wrong, right? I was so obsessed with food, right?
Yeah.
And I knew I'd went right off the rails. I'd went and ate stuff that I shouldn't have, and a lot of it, and I put my gut under the stress, right? And it was sore after the photo shoot. After the competition, I don't know if it was the adrenaline. I don't know if it was just the whole experience. Like I didn't want to go and like I never had this feeling that I wanted to go and eat everything. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
took some overnight oats with me and stuff. So after the show, I was like, right, I'll have some overnight oats. Went for a coffee with my mum and that. Sitting the most tanned guy in Motherwell, having a coffee. Everybody's looking at me like. I'm like, I'm just here for coffee and oats. Like, do you know what I mean? So, and I had two bowls of overnight oats in that, and then I went home. I did have a slice of cake and that, but then I had a rump steak and that for dinner. But because we had obviously the previous show planned the following week, which we obviously ended up going through with, but it was weird. I never had that. It wasn't until we started the structured plan again and I started eating more food that I actually became more hungry. And that's the hardest bit these last 2 weeks because I've just been constantly still feeling, even though you've upped my food,
Yeah.
it's still, I'm still getting moments where I'm like, fuck, man, I'm hungry, even though I know I've ate a lot of food. Do you know what I mean? So, aye,
Completely.
that's been probably the hardest kind of bit so far coming out yet.
Completely. Thing is about it is like I'll tell you straight up. A lot of people ask me like, "How are you so disciplined? How are you so driven? How are you so focused?" And the truth of the matter is, when you spend a lot of time in your life chasing down goals and working really hard for them, coming out of that, you've got all these ideas. Exactly like you. When I used to come out of contest prep, I'd be like, I'm going to go and do this. I'm going to go and do that. I'm going to be, and it's just like I'm thinking to myself, I need another fucking goal.
No.
Show me, I need something where I'm going to be pushing hard because when you get used to being disciplined like that and pushing yourself like that, you do feel lost. That's why, like straight away, within a couple of days, you've got a plan in place. But one thing people don't realize, and I really mean this, like anyone that's done I'm not talking about where you've gradually got into shape over a year, right? I'm talking about where you've done a balls out, hard as fuck diet campaign, right? And training and cardio campaign where you've got into the best shape you've ever been in. When you come out the flip side of that, it's really like your appetite and everything, it just goes through the fucking roof. It's like people don't realize it's like what you're eating doesn't even touch the stomach, it just instantly goes. And you're thinking to yourself, like, shit, you're looking good because your muscles are getting more pumped up. But this is actually where, honestly, so many guys end up destroying their off season because they end up gaining 20 to 30 pounds, then the appetite settles, right? Like now they're holding a lot of water, their organs are having a lot of pressure because the blood pressure, everything like that, are putting weight on. So you've got to think, look at reality. 20 to 30 pounds in a couple of weeks is easy for a competitor to do. That's more than some women gain on a fucking pregnancy, right? So think about the effect it has on the body. It's a lot. And it's hard to get that under control. So already immediately I said to you that, look, the difference is you haven't just come out of a prep and it's kind of like, okay, now let's relax. We'll compete next year. You have actually got a massive show to do at the end of this year. So even from now, don't get it twisted. If you think that Steven's now bulking, that means that just eat what he wants and get fat. No, it's just as structured as a contest prep, but in a different way. And our goal right now, obviously, for you is like we know you've got the amazing lower body, right? That I really can't see any first timer coming close to you or even challenging you in the lower body if we get that in shredded to pieces, right? Which is obviously the goal here. But we want to build your back up. We want to do it lean. We want to keep your diet organized. We want to make sure that exactly like with the content prep, we're adding food at the right time. And that's a lot mentally. So what people don't realize, even though you've gone down that competition and you've been through all that hardship and you've been through all that difficulty, in ways, what you're doing now is even harder to be disciplined because you're switching gears and it's kind of like, oh, you're hungry. You want to be eating more. You're thinking to yourself, I've done the contest, right? I'm bulking now. And that automatically signals to people, well, let me just get bigger, right?
Yeah.
It takes more discipline. In my opinion, it takes more discipline being outside the contest, that transition, than it is even in the contest. Because the contest, you've got that focus of the contest. right? But when you're bulking, you know you've got time for your next contest. You kind of think, well, won't be harmful if I eat up for a few weeks. But it
Aye,
really is.
you're just about to say that there because initially I'm going. The contest isn't until October. I've got plenty of time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm like, no, I can't think like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it has been difficult. It has been tough a few days, as you know yourself. I've said to you, and it's just trying to get that frame of mind back in where, like, no, we need to channel back in here because I don't want. I know myself. I don't want to get out that much out of shape that instead of doing a 15-week prep, it might turn into a 19-week prep because I've gained that extra fucking and I've cut back for actual using the couple of weeks to actual gain more tissue. Do you know what I mean? So it's definitely as you know, I can eat.
Yeah, that's it. That was my concern. But you're absolutely right because the goal with Stephen now is the journey has only begun. So this contest for him, right, has opened up a whole. It's actually opened up a whole new chapter in his life, really, because now he's got his first competitive season ahead, his competitive year, and so that means you have to structure it like an athlete. And so, right, what we're doing right now is going for an off season, and you're spot on. The goal right now is because look, at the end of the day, Stephen wants to win, and I want Stephen to win. So we know that the name of the game is conditioning, and we know he struggles to get into condition because he just has that sort of body type. So what we do between now and that competition, not just for the prep, but actually for the whole off season as well, it fucking matters because again, you're not training for you, you're training to be competitive, right? So what you should be hoping that them other guys are giving them to their appetite, and you're staying strict because that's what it's the details which put you ahead. And so the goal now is to build that muscle tissue up, get you a lot stronger. But when I start the prep with you for this next competition, which will be the finals, we want you to be a lot leaner than the last prep you done when you began. And I mean, now when you look out into your year ahead, man, it must feel so different now that you've got this such a bigger goal to chase after, no?
Aye, no, 100%, 100%. Because I know, like, the British finals is the British finals. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a pro show and everything on with PCA there as well.
Yeah.
It's a big fitness expo in Telford for over the full weekend. Do you know what I mean? So it's a big weekend as well. There's going to be a lot more people there. There's going to be a lot more competitive, people there. And now I'm like, fuck, this is a step up sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? That this is a big step up. There could be potential, not saying anything like, but there's sponsors down there, there's people down there watching, people who might think the same as the judges, so this guy might have good potential. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it makes me kind of go, this could open up a different path. Do you know what I mean? For myself? Of course. So I know this is a big thing, a big show. Do you know what I mean? 100%.
Yeah, this is a whole year of work, and that's the reality. And if you're going to do something like this, my advice is always give it every ounce of everything you've got because you only got one chance to do these sort of things. You're only going to have one chance in your life to go and do a first timer final.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? And you want to give yourself the best shot. And I think it's awesome because, like you said, you've got a lot more eyeballs there. You've got a lot more sponsors there. It's going to be a weekend. You don't want to be sitting there thinking to yourself, I could have done better. That's for sure. And I'm excited because again, going back to like as you've been watching this, me and you both know, hand on heart, this is not exaggeration for people watching. You went out about 65% as good as what you could have been. Like we know that you can be even better. And my goal with you is two things. One, I want you to fucking win. And two, I want those judges to say to you afterwards that you have made the best changes that we've seen. And I really truly believe we can do it. Because what it is that they've nowhere near seen the best version of you. Nowhere near seen the best version of you. And that has got to light a fire up your arse, mate. Do you know what I mean?
100%, mate. 100%. No, and I know obviously we touched on the subject of supplements, and now I've got a trusted one now. That excites me even more because now I know that everything is going to be in place for the possible best show that I could be competing in. Well, that I will be competing in. Do you know what I mean? For this year anyway. So that fills me with confidence as well.
Of course it does. Of course it does. And you've got the advantage now because I don't want to jinx us, but you've been through a terrible prep in terms of like all the hurdles that you had, right? So this next prep should feel no prep feels easy, but his next prep should feel a lot more flowing, if that makes sense, right? Secondly, is that you got to ace up your sleeve, because what is difficult, put yourself in this position, and I've seen this happen to guys before. You've brought your absolute fucking best to the stage, yeah, and you're placing second, third. You know, really, that is not much left you can do to pit first. But when we know that you could have even brought a far superior package, right? If we just had a bit more time, that's got to fill you with confidence that you're going to go back and bring something new to it. And do you find when you're training now and everything that you just got a different energy?
Aye. I was actually going to say that. So obviously, I know that we knew going into that show that my back needs to get more thick and it needs to get wider, right? We already knew that. So with the judges' feedback was just basically bring your back up and overall muscularity. So just grow everything, but bring your back up, right? We knew my legs were one of my strong points, and I've got a good chest, which the judges said. So the judges were spot on with everything that they said. So now, for example, when I'm in, like back day was yesterday, I have never focused so much on each exercise doing my back, right? And that, don't get me wrong, it's like, it's the same way, even with legs now, even when I'm training legs, because I'm going, my legs are good to know. Imagine what they're going to be like in fucking 17, 18 weeks of growing. They're going to be fucking better. Do you know what I mean? So everything is a lot more, it's weird. I've got a lot more energy and the exercises that I'm doing, and a lot more focus when I'm doing them. And I know that, like, well, it's not that I never used to have that, but for some reason it is a lot more focused. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you put a lot more intent into what you're doing, especially because before it was unknown, whereas now like you like, for me, when I was training to compete, you're picturing yourself going on stage. You're picturing yourself, you can go through it mentally because you've done it now, right? And you're picturing yourself doing this sort of stuff. And when you're training, it's like you're not just training to get bigger or to get leaner. You're actually training to get a lot better. And you know that every session counts. So you're absolutely spot on. And that's why I really can't wait for people to see your journey play out, because this is going to be an amazing year. I want to show people at the end of your off season, hopefully get some videos of you training at your strongest, right? And then into the prep. I think if you've done a video series yourself, now you know prep, right? And we go through it. I think it'd be awesome to get like a fly on the wall sort of video documentary of what you're doing. And I just think, like, this year ahead, I'm so excited to actually be on this journey with you and to be seeing what we can do. And I mean, it's going to be a hard year of work. There's no doubt about it. You're going to have to put a lot of effort into everything. But fucking hell, bro. I mean, I know it's quite a bit of time away, but I'm ready to. Don't worry, we're not going to do it, but I'm ready to go for another prep with you, man. I just can't wait. I really can't wait, because I see it like vindication for us. Do you know what I mean?
100%. Because we know what went wrong, and it's like, what's the chances of that happening twice? Do you know what I mean? Like, there isn't.
Yeah.
And we'll make sure this time that won't happen again. Do you know what I mean? And there's no reason why it should, as long as we can consistently get, obviously, supplements, and that is the same. Then I'm excited. I'm excited.
I'm very excited
to grow, but I'm excited to eat salads and that again.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy because you're willing to put yourself through that pain because you want to get that feeling again at the end, and you want to know that you've improved. It's like you genuinely trying to bring out a better sort of package to the stage. And the thing about it is that it's just the whole process itself is just such a growth process. Like, you're probably never going to have been plugged into a year like you are this year.
No.
Because there's everything's to play for. Do you know what I mean? And the thing about it is that we're already coming out of a competition. We've already gathered data. And what I mean by that is that, so we already know, okay, what body parts do you need to work on? We already know that you need to stay tighter. We already know that we want to begin our prep in better condition. We already know, like, the areas that we want to improve in terms of conditioning itself, like bringing more conditioning into the rear, into the legs and everything. So it's going to be an amazing thing. I want to share a picture before we wrap this up of you. Like, this for me just signifies where you can see it. I mean, when you look at that, man, how does that make you fucking feel, bro?
That's frightening. That when I had seen that, I was like,
yeah.
At the time, I didn't think I was that out of condition.
That's what everyone thinks.
You know what I mean? And then you see that, and it's just, it's just a totally different person. I just even
really
looking
is.
at my legs, I actually fancy my legs.
I mean, I look at you and I just think to myself, just incredible. When you sent me those pictures, man, was I happy. And that's got to make you feel proud. I mean, you're the one who went through it, mate. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, you're the one who put the work in. You're the one who put the effort in. You're the one who done the days of dieting, done the days of cardio, done the days of training. And when you look at that, that has just got to motivate you. Like, what can I fucking bring next? Your competition career is just starting.
Aye, I'm excited. Hopefully, double the size.
Yeah, man. And I'm telling you now, when we bring these legs separation in deeper, it's good. You're going to be a fucking nightmare. You're going to be a nightmare. So I'm glad to hear that you're training your legs even harder, because this next sort of phase for us is just the building phase, and then we get to fucking, to strip it back and then get you into great condition. So,
in June, I'm away to Benidorm for a week, right? And I have never thought about taking kitchen skills on holiday with me. But I'll be taking kitchen skills on holiday with me. Do you know what I mean? I will still be on. I'll still be on prep for this, even in Spain. Do you know what I mean? I'll still be going to the gym. I'll still be doing what I'm meant to do, because at the end of the day, just because I'm in another country doesn't stop me wanting to achieve my goals. Do you know what I mean?
I completely agree with you. And I say to people all the time that, like, if you've got a goal, right, and you're really dedicated to that goal and you're really focused on it, then, it's just enjoying time with people that matters. I don't need to, like, if I'm getting ready or I'm trying to get into great shape, whatever, I don't need to be eating a certain way to be enjoying time with people, right? Go on holiday, be active, but be on your grind, because at the end of the day, you've got to focus. And like I say to you, we never want to be in a situation where we think, you never want to be standing on stage thinking I could have done more, I could have done better. Do you know what I mean? Some stuff that are out of your control, like what happened on our preps, out of our control. We fix it as soon as we realize. But there's things that are in your control, like going on holiday and not fucking going to an all-you-can-eat buffet and just stuffing yourself.
We've got an apartment. We're self-catering, so I've got a kitchen.
There, that's what you need. That's all you see, that buffet, boy. But I've done the same with Louise. I mean, she was on prep in Egypt and she kept to it and she loved it. She loved it. She loved the fact that she still got a training. If anything, she enjoyed the holiday even more, because it proved to her that she could go out, still have fun, spend time with the family, but still, get stuff done. That's awesome. And I mean, before we wrap this up, what advice would you have to people who are sitting in a position like you were, where they're thinking about competing, debating whether they can do it or not? What would be your advice to people like that?
Well, first of all, if you think about competing, right, but you've never done a photo shoot, I would recommend a photo shoot, right, to keep to try, because if you treat that like a prep, which you will treat it like a prep, see if you can handle it and see what you've got, what it takes. That would be my best advice. And then after that, if you still think that you want to do a competition, 100% do it. That's it. Because you never experience anything like it, and you'll always be saying to yourself, I wish I'd done that. I wish I tried that. Don't get me wrong, it'll be scary. There'll be times where you think, I'm not ready, I can't do it. But just need to keep pushing forward. That's the main thing. Because you
completely agree with you. I think
you will be able to do it and you will get there.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And I think the stuff which tests you the hardest has the biggest payoff. I really believe this. The stuff that scares you the most, like one of the hardest things you've ever done in your life, right? And then look at the fulfillment that you had afterwards. Like, I can't imagine. Well, I can imagine, because I've been there before with my family, so I get an understanding of what it is. But that coffee that you had with your mum afterwards, but even though you're sitting there and everyone's looking at you like, is this guy taking the piss with his terror? Right? You know what I mean? I've been there, where you're sitting there, people look at you like you're an alien. They don't realise that you just come out of a bodybuilding competition. Look at this fucking poser sitting there, fucking doing tanning beds non-stop. But you don't give a shit. You're just so happy. Like,
I didn't care. Honestly, it was as if they were leaving in the shop. I was just sitting there like, I was just so overwhelmed as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, and to see the happiness on my mum's face and my sister's face and Holly's face, like, even Holly said she was sitting there and her heart rate was through the roof. She's like, she can't, because I'm on the stage as well. Do you know what I mean? So she was buzzing. Do you know what I mean? And it was just a great feeling all round. Do you know what I mean? After it and that, and even just sitting having the coffee, I was just like, Can't believe that. I can't believe
That coffee,
it happened.
no coffee tastes that good after a victory, does it? Awesome stuff, mate. Honestly, it's been such a pleasure. Because you know what people don't realize is that why I love to do these client casts is because when I'm working with a person, like we're going for your prep, people don't realize that I'm in the trenches as well with you. Like I don't reflect on last week. I'm like, what does this guy need to do today to make progress? Once it's over, then I can live the journey. Like there's a lot of stuff that I don't know. I don't know how it was, what how it was for you to go out and how it was afterwards and the struggles that you had and all that are going on back scene. So it's really nice for me to hear how it's gone. And I'm just so happy. I'm so happy because like your mum, like my parents did, they got a real insight and they get a completely different respect for what bodybuilding is about. It's totally different to gym posers, right? Secondly, you've inspired your sister. Thirdly, you've been able to do it with your partner, who's just been an amazing support system for you. Can't go said enough that you can, it's not that you mean to be, but you can come across incredibly selfish, right? When you're on a prep and when you've got a partner there who's, supporting you, who's pushing you, who's behind you, who believes in you, it doesn't make the difference. It is the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
100%.
So I've been buzzing to hear it all, man. And I'm just so excited for this year ahead. Like, I love it when a client's journey has gone like where yours, where it's just opening up more and more chapters. I mean, who knows? Flash forward in the next year when we get onto the podcast after the PCA finals. Fuck me, mate. We'll be looking back at this saying, we discussed this and now you're there. Who knows where it'll lead? And I just want the absolute best for you. So it's just been a pleasure doing this, my brother. Honest to God, like really, really enjoyed this.
It's been great. It has been great. It's been some journey. Definitely a Cinderella story. That's going to stick. I wonder what we'll call this one.
Let's think of a new one. I don't want another Cinderella story though. I want it to be plain. We call this one plain sailing. That's what we call it. But yeah, been awesome stuff. So I'll let you go now, and just make sure you stick to your diet. I know you're not full yet. Make sure you stick to that diet. That's the main thing, brother.
Right.
Take care, man.
Take
awesome.
care.
Man.
I'll see you later on, right?
Absolutely, my brother.